Alright, so the purpose of this video is to go through the restringing process of my Bobobie Tony. Here's his head, Wheatley. It's nothing too terribly different from most other dolls, so these, in his particular case, looking at a video for his body, which is the Bobobie three-part torso body, bleh, is pretty similar to most other dolls, but I know it takes a leave off your mind if the video you're watching is actually for the doll that you're working on, so that's what my purpose here is to do one for the doll you may actually have. Behold my awesome work table, Doom. Okay, so what I have already done is taken him apart, which is a fairly simple process. Just take your giant S-hook, this is the one that's in his head. Turn it, let it come down through, so it's sticking out of the neck like this. And then I literally just pulled the elastic away from the neck a little bit and just let it go. And it shot down his torso and just took him apart. Took the S-hooks off, the hands. The big part of this S-hook goes on the hand itself, and the small side goes on the string. I kept all of his parts on the same side as it was when I took him apart. I just had him laid down, and as I took everything apart, I just let it lay where it laid. Then I cleaned him, which is the second step, which is probably the most common reason to take a doll apart, is because he needs cleaning for whatever reason. We went outside today and took a bunch of pictures, and plus he got some new clothes the other day that left some stains on him, and it had been a little while, so I decided he needed cleaning. So that's why he's on a towel, because he was drying. I dried the outside of the parts as best as I could right away. But, in these tiny channels and stuff, air is kind of the only way to go. So, and now, basically to get started with, I'm going to be using his old strings, which, the tops of this looks a little grungy. This won't remain this way. I'm going to be experimenting a little bit with string tension, because he's been a little floppy for me. So that's why there's the 3 knots. This is how he came, was with this one. And then I shortened it to here, and now I'm shortening it to here. The string looks a little pink because apparently I still had some paint on my fingers when I was handling this. Oops. I thought I washed myself, but I guess not. Oh well, things happen. It's just string. And then here's the leg string, which is always longer than the arm string. This just has the two knots. This actually came untied on me shortly after I got him. It was in a box knot like the top of here, but then I retied here, and I'm also going to be tightening the string up in his legs and his torso. So that's what this knot is. So, if all goes according to plan, I won't need to call anybody in here to help me with those last hooks, but I'll get to that as it comes along. So, to get started, I will need, this is just pretty basic ribbon, pretty long, so it can basically go all the way through him if I need it to. Just going to move all my S-hooks to the side. All these S-hooks are the same size, so if you end up putting them in a little pile, it's not a big deal. I'm going to do his arms first. So I'm just going to take his torso and this string. Just lap this around. You'll see some people run it through itself, but I just do just around and make sure I keep my ends together, because I find when I get to those last couple hooks, that loop around here got really tight and really hard to take off. I ended up having to cut it off, which makes the whole process needlessly complicated. So I'm just going to keep it like this. So I have it like this. I'm going to go in through the chest piece and out one arm, pull it through, then take the ribbon off. Going to lap the loop over the neck just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take the ribbon again, lapping it through the string. I have both ends of the ribbon between my fingers. Come on. There it goes. And then I pull everything through. at least to give me enough to grab onto on the other side. Now, what I'm going to do is I unhook this from around the neck, is I want to center the knot in here. So right there, that's about in the middle. Now, once I get this, like I said, I'm experimenting with the tension. So once I get this how I like it, I'm going to cut off those extra 2 knots if this is how it needs to be. Otherwise, I'll untie that one down there and just use it as it has been, which I really, or just tie it down a little shorter, which I really don't want to do. If push comes to shove, I have some string I had ordered when I bought him over here. Seems to be a little tighter than the default string that Bobobie sends. I don't know if this wore out or if it's just a different, if it's just too thin or just not tight enough or what. But, you know, this is somewhat of an experiment, somewhat of a tutorial. Experiment for me, tutorial for you. So, I've got everything put in here. Just gotta watch this while I continue working, just to kind of see, make sure that's in the middle. So I'm just gonna lap one end over here again. I'm gonna slide these parts over. So, I have that. Now I need a shoulder piece and my ribbon again. And basically this is like working, if you've ever strung beads, you can restring a doll. Because it's basically just a slight, it's more, it's with just like stringing beads, but the bigger beads, and there's, instead of string, it's elastic. So it just likes to fight with you. So it's really not a scary process at all. It can be a little intimidating your first time because you're afraid you're going to mess something up, but you know, this is only my 3rd time doing it, and it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Now, he's an MSD size. SD sizes rely on a lot more tension in the string. They use thicker string, so that can make that process a bit more intimidating, and also much more physically taxing than for an MSD. But I believe in you. You can do it. So this is literally just a bead. The elbow ball right here, and then forearm. And then this is where a little bit of physical strength is necessary, where I pull it all the way through, as far as I can get it. And I'm going to pinch this between my fingers. I'm going to stick my, this is actually a paintbrush. Sometimes people use pencils or chopsticks or something to that effect. But this just happens to be handy and pretty thin. So I'm just going to stab that through there. Pull the ribbon out. Take one of my hooks. Pull it through. Got my happy hook there. Don't want to let go of the paintbrush yet until I get his hand on, because this hook will slip through in here, and then I'll have to get some pliers out to dig it out of the arm socket here. So I'm just going to take the hand, put it on there, make sure I have it keeled back so it doesn't slip off. Go with the paintbrush, drop the hand in, and we're good to go. See, he's an armless wonder. Yay! Make sure I have the hands on the right side, which is good. Dolls vary sometimes, but in the case of Bobobie, there's dots on the inside of the parts, which I can, nope, that's on the other side, actually. See that dot right there? That's not a resin imperfection, that's marking which one's which. See the shoulder has got it right there too? So, makes it a fairly straightforward process, but if you keep everything flat on the table while you're doing it, you won't mess up your sides. So I'm just going to flip his arm up over his head just to keep it out of my way. It's a little kicky right now, but I balance out the stringing, he should be fine. So grab my ribbon again, run it through here, and then we go beading again. I really like using ribbon instead of yarn, because sometimes the inside of these parts can be a little rough. Sometimes they're not nearly as smooth as they are on the outside, just from molding. So, the little, like if you use like worsted weight yarn, it can catch and grab, like even ribbon does sometimes. Some people use just a shorter piece of doll string, which is, totally fine. Just whatever makes everything comfortable for you. Just this really thin, narrow ribbon works great though. It's like sometimes you can find it like for $1 at the fabric store or your average department store, what have you, Walmart, whatever. My knot got a little jacked up in here, so I'm just gonna pull it out. So back to where I want it. That was from yanking on it from the other side, but now that I pull on it from this side, it's balancing out. So I'll wiggle that into its final resting place once I get everything together. Because otherwise I'm just going to keep yanking on it and it just doesn't make sense. So, ball on. Some dolls have more pieces on each arm, some have less. Just depends on how they were molded, what company they come from. This guy's pretty basic, but basically if you don't end up with any missing parts at the end, you are probably doing okay. To be perfectly honest with you. I may sound pretty cavalier about all this, but it's not it's a little intimidating because you're like, my doll's in pieces, oh no! I got to pull on it, oh no! But I promise you, while the resin is porous and can be susceptible to chemicals, it's certainly strong enough to take this, because somebody at the factory did all this for you when you ordered them. So sure, they may know more of what they're doing, but that's what I'm here for, is to let you know what you need to do. So that's what makes this community awesome, is that there's somebody with no matter what you try to do, I guarantee you, there's somebody that has tried to do it before and may have some knowledge to lend you for, with either in a to-do list kind of way or in a to-don't list kind of way. It's like, I tried this and it didn't work. Or I tried this and I broke something. What did I, they could at least have that to offer you. So, communication is awesome. I don't understand how people can do all these complicated things without having DOA memberships, because of just the information that's there. It's really kind of hard to navigate when you can't search because you are not a member. But yeah, again, the second side is always a bigger fight. Back to stringing. The second side is always a bigger fight because that's where all the tension is kind of building. The arms not so much, but the legs will definitely be kind of a stretch. But again, I've got my paintbrush in here, the hook, so I'm putting the hand on, letting that hang there. Just be careful not to let it just snap back. Give it a little guided action. And now time to play with him a little bit. Make sure that string is in the middle again. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay. Bye. Ooh, the arm is staying up for the most part. That's not something he was able to do before. I can feel some friction in there. I think he might still need kips, but this should at least keep me from having to tear my hair out in the meantime. He can hold his arm up by his face, which is nice. Yeah, this is really awesome. I like this. This is kind of inspired by hanging out with some other dolls at the doll meet that I went to this weekend. Seeing how they acted and comparing them to my boy, and I'm like, whoa, I think I may have to make some changes here, which I'm glad I am. Here's my scissors. Here's my scissors. So this might look a little scary, but I promise I know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna pull the string out. Reach in here. And snip. There we go. So that's the leftover string that I don't need. So that knight will tighten a little bit over time, but it's not enough to make it a huge difference. So, alright, so now time for the legs. Get his arms up out of the way. Touchdown! Here's the string. Okay,